So today I just try to explain why there's no such thing as a dark empath. It's kind of this term I keep hearing going around, and every time I look up anything about it, what they're describing is just a narcissist or a psychopath. But what they describe is basically someone who's high in both empathy and the dark triad. But they also explain that people high in the dark triad are also low in empathy. And they kind of imply that's what they're talking about. They're like empaths are low in the dark triad, but high in empathy. But then they kind of do that, but then they're like saying they're still not as empathetic as actual empaths or normal people or anything. And it's like, and they're just manipulative. And what they say is that they're low on emotional empathy, but really high in cognitive empathy. Which if you've studied narcissism at all, you know that narcissists are high on cognitive empathy because they have to be in order to. Oh, I just noticed my shirt's kind of wet. I just took a shower. Because narcissists have to be high on cognitive empathy because they have to see your emotional reactions. Cognitive empathy is knowing how people feel by just looking at them. Like knowing how people feel, but not feeling how people feel. That's emotional empathy. That's what empaths do. And dark empaths, according to whatever research paper came out, don't do that. They have cognitive empathy, but they don't feel other people's emotions. So they're not empaths. They're narcissists. And it's just a term that I think that here's my theory. And that's that it's a term that narcissists made up because they don't like empaths, for one thing. Well, they do in that they're great forms of supply until they wake up. Then they're terrible. Then they're terrible to narcissists specifically because we've been hurt by narcissists enough that we're just like, no, we're not playing your game. Because narcissists have to project themselves onto everything, and they can't really imagine good people. They can't because they're evil. so they imagine everyone is evil. Everyone is an evil liar like they are. And everything is a form of manipulation. Therefore, empaths must be using their empathy to manipulate people, according to narcissists. And that's why I think this whole term is it's like in the meta right now. It's in the zeitgeist or whatever. Just because there's so many narcissists and they ruin everything, really, right? But really, if you're describing a dark empath, really you're talking about a narcissist because that's exactly what they're talking about. Look up any video or whatever about dark empaths and see the traits and ask yourself, how is this different from narcissism in any way? Because it's not. They're talking about narcissists. They're just calling it dark empaths. Because, okay, and here's why. Okay, imagine someone who feels other people's emotions. They can't control it. Okay? Like when someone else feels something, they start feeling it as well. Now, if that person goes around making others feel bad, through their toxic manipulation and toxic behavior, how is that going to make them feel? It's going to make them feel bad, Like the most selfish thing an empath can do is cheer someone else up because that makes them happy as well, They want to spread happiness and joy. They don't want to hurt others. And doing things like manipulating and lying and doing all this other crap, that's narcissistic in general. Doing any of that stuff is narcissistic. Just my theory that if anyone starts ranting about dark empaths or whatever, they're probably a narcissist. That's just my theory. Not trying to smear campaign anyone else here on YouTube or whatever, but it's as soon as they start doing it, I just shut off because it's they don't know what they're talking about. Because empaths don't do those things. But narcissists need to project all their problems onto everyone else. Because empaths don't manipulate people. That's one. Okay? They don't manipulate people. It hurts them to lie most of the time. Most empaths, unless the unawakened ones. Most of the time, it kind of hurts them to lie, no matter, even if it's a small lie. Because that's manipulating people. And they don't do that. Because manipulation hurts others. And it hurts us. Right? Hurts empaths, I mean. 3 is that we don't need supply. I mean, they're talking about going one of the papers I just read was basically saying that one of the conditions of being a dark empath is does making others feel bad make you feel better? And that's one of the number one reasons to you're a narcissist, That's not empathy. Or feeling bad when your friends are doing better. That was another one on that list. Just being if you feel bad when your friends are happy and joyful, or it makes you irritable or something. That's the exact opposite of what empath is. Because if people are feeling good around you, you start feeling good as well. Even if they're not people you like very much most of the time, as long as they're not like specifically scapegoating you, being like, oh, you're not allowed to feel these emotions, which can happen. But even then, you'll probably be like, oh, well, I still feel joyful, but I feel bad now too, because you kicked me out of the group because I was happy. Okay, here's another, I forget if I keep counting, but here's another one. That's that empaths will always consider other people in their decisions. They don't act specifically selfishly in that way, Like a selfish action would be compromising or considering other people's feelings first, right? Again, these are like selfish actions for an empath because they feel other people's emotions. And if like everyone can be agreeable and nice and kind and like, you remember everyone's favorite pizza toppings and all that stuff or whatever, you compromise and you got the right thing and everyone's happy. That makes you happy. And here's the reason I think narcissists are just behind it. They just project themselves onto everything. So, if they see someone with something they don't have, they have to say something, and, because they're pathologically envious and jealous of everyone and have to smear campaign everything they don't understand, since none of them have empathy, they have to smear campaign it somehow, They have to belittle it in some way. They have to belittle empaths, be like, oh no, actually there's dark empaths, so therefore they're just as horrible as the rest of us because they split everything. So it's like there's one dark empath, which there isn't, but one study said that there was dark empaths, therefore all empaths are evil. So that's the first reason that they just project everything. The next reason, it's because they probably had an empath in their life that left them in their little pit they don't know how to get out of. And of course they just blame the empath for everything. It's like, well, this empath hurts me. He must be a dark empath. Therefore, there's evil empaths out there. And they just have to smear campaign everything, like I said. So, I mean, my personal advice is like, if anyone in one of these YouTube videos or whatever is like starts talking about dark empaths, they're probably a narcissist. That's just what, in my own personal experience, that's what I've come across, basically. And it's because narcissists have to just ruin everything that's not them. Anything, if they can like talk themselves up while belittling everything else. Maybe I should make that a subject of one of these videos, is how to spot a narcissist on YouTube. How to spot a narcissist making videos about empaths and narcissism. How to spot YouTube narcissist videos. I mean, because YouTube is just an attention-grabbing device, I mean, like, I'm sure a lot of narcissists are on here. Now, I'm not saying, like, every empath is a great person, I mean, everyone's different, right? But what people describe as a dark empath is not an empath. Some empaths might be selfish, but they're still not going to go around manipulating people just to get their jollies off, They don't need supply. That's something that narcissists don't understand. Because they have to project themselves onto everything. They don't understand people that don't need supply. They don't understand people who can just be alone for a few hours by themselves. I guess that's it. I guess I'm signing off. I don't know.